We ask this of everybody who comes on the show because we are the approach shot. In your approach to life, what one rule do you live by?
In my approach to life, what rule do I live by? Well, usually I tell my clients never to repeat the question before you answer the question.
We all know that's a stall tactic. So
It certainly is. Persistence is something that I've always harbored because a lot of times people give up too soon on dreams, on initiatives. I see it time and time again in normal life where if veterans are, trying to get benefits and disability, the first roadblock they hit, they give up. So persistence to me is something coming from a small town and having the issues that my family had surrounding my father's disability and his issues coming home from the military. Had I not been persistent, it would not have created the endurance in me to be able to achieve what I had. I mean, let's face it, 5 years to continue to compete. So 4 of the 5 years I lost, I was a loser, right? Let's just be blunt about it. But I picked myself up every single time. And I may have scuffled my feet a little bit and kicked the dirt and ho-hummed, but that irritating probably part within me that said, don't give up, that persistent part of me said to keep going. And I always tell people, persistence is key. You got to keep going at it. Don't give up. And so persistence is probably my number one rule of thumb.
Heather French Henry, you are off the hot seat.
We're going to have to play golf someday.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me practice a little bit more, but sure, I'll be there for your entertainment value.
Heather French Henry, thank you so much for spending so much quality time with us here on The Approach Shot.
There's a revolution going on in the world of shaving, and its name is Harry's. Have you dumped your overpriced, still have to go to the drugstore? My dad used these blades. I have. I switched to Harry's. With Harry's, you don't have to choose between a great shave and a fair price. My Harry's razor contours to my face and gives me a close, comfortable shave at a great price. And you know what else? My Harry's razor stays sharper longer. They believe in the quality of their blades so much you get a 100% money-back guarantee. Why don't you join me in the revolution and you'll become a fan of Harry's too. For a limited time, Harry's is offering listeners of The Approach Shot their starter set at harrys.com/approach. The starter set includes a 5-blade razor, a weighted ergonomic handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel blade cover, a $13 value, all for just $3. There's never been a better time to try Harry's. Go to harrys.com/approach to redeem this offer today. That's a $13 value for only $3. But to get it, you have to go to harrys.com/approach.
If you're like me, you've been hearing a lot about burials and cremation lately. It's kind of a sad thought, but thousands of these poor souls have to be stored in these big refrigerator trucks, waiting sometimes weeks before they can be put to rest. And then the average funeral cost is over $10,000. I don't have that kind of money just lying around. Do you? Everyone has the right to die with dignity, and an affordable burial policy can be had for as little as $1 a day. Call Final Expense Network for a free quote. They shop for affordable rates from brand name companies, folks you've heard of. One call and you get coverage to finish well. You can even name your church as a beneficiary. Come on, you have loved ones. Don't leave them at the last hour of their need. Call now, 800-589-0470. That's the Final Expense Network at 800-589-0470. Finish well. Make a quick call to 800-589-0470. 800-589-0470.
And one of the things I have got to mention, she alluded rather quickly to parks in Louisville, Kentucky, built by or designed by Mr. Olmsted. If you're aware, Mr. Olmsted is also the man who designed Central Park in New York City, and the parks here in Louisville were done first, kind of like practice runs. And they're not just little acres of grass with a couple of benches. They are extensive parks. They're beautiful. And it's the whole idea that Olmsted had to conserve nature, to build parks as a refuge for people and for nature and for wildlife, etc. We thank you for listening. I apologize that we had to do the opening and the closing segments without Mr. Neil. He will understand. I hope you will understand. Stuff happens. That's what we're putting this all in the stuff happens category. So until next week, when we have another great guest, and if you're into golf, this next week's guest is Joey Greiner, who is Max Homa's caddy, inside the ropes and digging down deep on the PGA Tour next week right here on the Approach Sauce. So get out, get some clubs, go play some golf. But when you do, remember that the same people invented golf and called it a game that invented bagpipes and called it music.
You've been listening to The Approach Shot with the Weekend Golf Guys. If you like this week's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts, and find us on the web at approachshot.net.